After traveling to Chicago at the turn of the 20th century, British writer H.G. Wells marveled at the creative forces at work. Men are makers, he contended. American men, I think, more than most. American cities were full of technological and cultural innovations, such as electric streetcars, skyscrapers, department stores, and new forms of entertainment. But at the same time, Wells noted the reek of Chicago's stockyards and how ugly the factories were. He summed up the city in one word: undisciplined. The word described most late 19th century cities, teeming with people, filth, and industrial waste. It's thus not surprising that concerned citizens in both the U.S. and Europe viewed cities as the primary social problem of the age. Above all, cities were studies in contrasts, beauty and ugliness, wealth and poverty, innovation and decay, promise and peril. Cities teemed with opportunity and energy, offering a universe of activities unimaginable to rural dwellers, from new consumer opportunities to novel forms of entertainment. Early department stores, for instance, responded to and reinforced the role of women as the main family consumer, building grand structures and creating comfortable and secure environments, complete with lounges, lunch counters, and restaurants, and even nurseries for children. Department stores drew well-off suburban women downtown and encouraged them to spend hours in their stores. As working hours decreased and real wages increased, working-class people had both more time and money to enjoy new forms of entertainment. Appealing to both rich and poor, native and immigrant, these entertainments help bind fragmented cities together, offering common ground and experiences for diverse urbanites. Palatial theaters, which created a fantasy world with grand lobbies, paintings, and luxurious surroundings, offered vaudeville shows affordable to all. Amusement parks, like New York's Coney Island, were also a product of the Gilded Age city and sprung up across the country, often at the end of streetcar lines. Fare to Coney Island was a nickel, and those who could not afford to spend more for park rides could still enjoy the festive atmosphere or while away their time at the beach. Amusement parks provided a much-needed outlet for urban dwellers, offering fantasy, thrills, and fun, and were especially attractive to young, single, working people who relished the freedom and escape from nosy parents and chaperones. Spectator sports also flourished, becoming a fundamental element of American culture. While boxing and horse racing enjoyed widespread popularity, professional baseball emerged as the national pastime. Railroad networks enabled teams from around the nation to compete with each other, and telegraph instantaneously reported scores, published in increasingly prominent sports sections of city newspapers. Professional teams built large ballparks in cities where crowds became so great that brick and steel facilities soon replaced rickety wooden structures. Baseball helped to create a sense of community and identity in diverse and fragmented cities, as hordes of fanatical followers, both rich and poor, native-born and immigrant alike, men and women, cheered on their hometown teams. Middle-class men especially worried that city life and white-collar office work had made them soft and unmanly, and soon vaunted a masculinity that stressed physical prowess and vigorous activity that became known as strenuosity. Men popularized the new and controversial sport of football, created on college campuses, playing in a violent, manly style without helmets or pads. The game, argued one promoter in 1887, is, quote, doing for our college-bred men in a more peaceful way what the experiences of war did for their predecessors in 1861 to 1865. Middle-class women embraced an even more radical ideal, the new woman. Breaking away from the restrictive ideal of the fragile homebody, the new woman discarded her confining corset, took up bicycling, tennis, and the newly invented game, basketball, first played in 1891 at the YMCA in Springfield, Massachusetts. While cities embodied opportunity and energy, they also roiled with crises. Not only were cities disorderly and dirty, they were also dangerous and violent. Most lacked adequate police protection. Boston's crime rates, for example, soared in the late 1870s, with burglary, robbery, assault, and murder all increasing. Ease of access to saloons, gambling dens, and prostitution, coupled with the anonymity of city life, many believed led to moral decline. Social bonds seemed to fragment as men and women left the countryside and close-knit villages to live among strangers, many of whom came from faraway places and spoke foreign languages. The housing shortage emerged as one of the greatest urban crises. Although tenements mushroomed and could house from 16 to 24 families, and single-family homes were subdivided, there were simply not enough rooms to go around. Population densities in major cities reached alarming proportions, creating health and safety hazards. Landlords did little to maintain property, and inner-city housing deteriorated into slums. Untouched by the technological advances enjoyed by the middle class, the poor crowded in tenements without indoor plumbing, running water, or electric lights. Primitive municipal services, such as impure water supplies and lack of sewage systems, made cities cauldrons of disease. For years, Chicago's sewage system consisted of simply dumping waste into Lake Michigan, even though the lake doubled as the source of the city's drinking water. While both water and sewage treatment facilities improved overall, cities remained polluted, hazardous environments. As cities expanded, concerned citizens around the world shared their ideas about how to attack unprecedented poverty, slums, disease, and social fragmentation. Transatlantic conversations and experiences would, by the turn of the 20th century, gel into progressive politics and social reform movements in both the U.S. and around the world. Reformers struggled to find solutions to the overwhelming problems faced by urban dwellers. Some reformers focused on trying to dilute what they considered the foreign influence of Roman Catholicism by saving souls and redeeming cities through Protestant moral instruction. Others sought to build social bonds and bridge the widening chasm between rich and poor, native-born and immigrant, and still others stressed creating healthy environments.